The tabby had never cared about the baby's room. Then one night, she wouldn't leave it. Priyanka Venkataraman Holst was a pediatric physical therapist. She had spent 12 years working with infants whose bodies did not move the way bodies were supposed to. She watched breathing patterns. She watched head control. She watched the subtle asymmetries that told her something important before they were large enough to be obvious. She had missed it in her own child's room. Their cat was a 7-year-old orange tabby named Huxley. He had the personality of a cat who had agreed to live in this house, but reserved the right to be unimpressed by most of it. He had inspected the nursery once when it was being painted, and had never returned. Their son Finn was 11 weeks old. He was a good sleeper. He slept 4-hour stretches at night in his bassinet. Priyanka had been grateful for this and had stopped going in to check as often as she had in the first weeks. On a Tuesday night, Huxley did not come to bed. She noticed when she woke up for the 2 a.m. feed. He always slept in the corner of the bedroom. He was not there. She found him when she went to get Finn. He was sitting in the doorway of the nursery, facing in, his tail curled around his feet. She thought he was lonely. She thought it was a phase. She fed Finn. She put him back. She went back to bed. Huxley stayed in the doorway. At the 5 a.m. feed, she found him in the same position. She got Finn. She noticed the swaddle blanket had shifted. Not catastrophically, but the muslin was higher on his face than it should have been, the corner of it level with the bottom of his nose. Another inch and it would have been over his mouth. She fixed the blanket. She fed him. She went back to bed. She did not connect these events until 2 nights later. On Thursday night, Huxley walked into the nursery at 11:30 p.m. and sat beside the bassinet and began to make a sound she had never heard from him. Not a meow, a low, sustained, almost mechanical chirping, the hunting vocalization cats make when they see something they cannot reach. She got up. Finn's blanket was at his nose again. He was breathing fine, but the blanket had worked up and the next shift in his sleep position could have taken it over his face. She fixed it. If you stay for stories about what animals notice before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. She stopped using the muslin swaddle blanket that night. She switched to a sleep sack, the kind with no loose fabric, the kind pediatric physical therapists recommend, and she had recommended to hundreds of parents and had somehow not used for her own child because the muslin was softer and she liked the way it folded. She stood in the nursery at midnight, with Huxley at her feet, and thought about 12 years of watching breathing in her clinical practice. And the 2 nights she had not watched in her own, she did not tell her husband until the following week. She told her pediatrician at the 12-week appointment. She told the story carefully and clinically, the way professionals tell stories about near misses. The pediatrician, a woman named Dr. Aliya Chowdhury, listened and then said the thing she said after every story like this: "We lose more babies to loose bedding than to any other single SIDS-adjacent cause." The recommendation has been sleep sack only for years. I tell every family, 1 in 4 doesn't switch. Your cat noticed what your training didn't catch. Has your animal ever done something you couldn't explain until it was the only thing that did? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Huxley began sleeping in the nursery after that, not in a corner beside the bassinet. He had apparently decided that the room required his presence, and he was a cat who acted on his decisions. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who spent 7 years being unimpressed by nearly everything and then quietly changed their mind. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Finn is 8 months old now. He uses a sleep sack. Huxley still sleeps beside the crib, which has replaced the bassinet. He has never again made the chirping sound. He has not needed to. Tomorrow there's another one, about a golden retriever who changed his sleeping position for 3 weeks before anyone understood the pattern.